Trump subpoenas Stormy Daniels, wants some of that documentary footage, not that kind of footage, the kind that she made for a platform called Peacock, NBC's platform where they post TV shows and apparently terrible documentaries. They have a bunch of footage there. Not only the footage that is publicly available, but what about all the stuff that got cut out of the final film? What about all the emails and all the exchanges and the research and the investigation? The whole case is talked about in this documentary. It's about Stormy and Trump's life. So why can't Trump get access to those materials so that he can review them to prepare his defense to see what went into the creation of this ridiculous film? So we've got that is now being debated. We also have an investigator who apparently has some interesting discovery because it's all being redacted in Trump's defense and their demand for this. And Mark Pomerantz apparently had some questionable things going on with his records when he was also in the New York prosecutor's office. So here's what is now going on with Stormy Daniels, and this is being sent to Judge Juan Merchan. From Trump's defense to the Honorable Judge Juan Merchan says, hey, dear Judge Merchan, we've got some questions for you here about Stephanie Clifford, aka Stormy Daniels. We are submitting this pre-motion letter and we're seeking leave. We want you to enforce the subpoena that we submitted on Stephanie Clifford, specifically requests 1 and 2. The subpoena has been attached and the affidavit also, but as a courtesy, we also want to explain what happened. So Trump says we are going after those materials. We sent a subpoena, we served her with the document, and we sent the service to her lawyer. Now, his name is Clark Brewster. In the email, Brewster claimed, he said, oh no, you didn't serve my client. We're not accepting this. The subpoena was returnable on March 29th, and we are here. March 29th has come and gone, and neither Brewster nor Clifford have responded to our subpoena or filed a motion to quash. So the subpoena is still valid, and we demand that we get those documents soon. With the exception of paragraph 1P, request 1 seeks records of the production, the release, the compensation, right, to talk about bias. How much money did you get, Stormy, to create this fictional story for your Peacock fans? And related disclosures to the people regarding Stormy's documentary. Now, Clifford's work with NBC Universal here was done to monetize her status as a witness in this case, to enhance the commercial success of the documentary, to prejudice potential jurors against Trump, and to promote the film and release the film literally just 1 week before the scheduled start of the jury selection here. That's clearly bias, motive, and hostility under the rules. And so while we do not agree that the rules protect NBC Universal from giving us their discovery, it certainly does apply to Clifford. Does not apply to Clifford, and she needs to get us these materials. Now, we seek also communications between Stormy and Michael Cohen, these two potential little lovebirds, some people were saying, and Karen McDougal, and potential hearsay declarants E. Jean Carroll, Jessica Leeds, and Natasha Stoynoff. Now, communications between two fact witnesses and confirmation that the communications were deleted. Maybe Stormy and Cohen deleted their texts. Oh no. That constitutes admissible evidence of bias and hostility arising from the strong inference that the witnesses communicated in order to corroborate their false testimony. Stormy and Cohen lying. Now, communications between Stormy and other women who have sought to also monetize their claims against Trump are also probative of Stormy's intent to do the same through false trial testimony. Now, at a minimum, we are entitled to 2 types of responsive materials about these requests. First, Stormy Daniels has communicated with Michael Cohen. We know it. It was about the allegations in this case, including in connection with her appearances on his podcast. Imagine that room, walking in the room after Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen finished a 2-hour podcast. Second, Kathy Griffin has stated publicly that she participates, Kathy Griffin, the severed head comedian, so-called, in multi-party electronic communications that include both Stormy and E. Jean Carroll on a daily basis. They have an anti-Trump TDS Dementoid group chat. President Trump is entitled to evidence of this. It shows bias, motive, and hostility under the state and federal constitutions, and evidence is appropriately subject to our subpoena that's already been issued, and particularly in light of public confirmation of some of these communications. We know they were talking, and they deleted their communications. They are not giving them to us, and we demand them immediately. So that is just a pre-motion letter. We'll see what Bragg says about this, and of course, trial's right around the corner. So if Trump doesn't get it, they're going to pitch a fit about it at the trial, and we'll see what the judge does. But that is not the only filing that Trump's team submitted after they are now on the warpath to get more discovery with trial right around the corner. There's also this redacted filing from this investigator, which is curious. And here's what they sent in to Judge Merchan about this guy. They say, all right, Your Honor, we're seeking leave now to enforce another subpoena served on this guy, supervising rackets investigator called Jeremy Rosenberg. His name is right here. He's in Brooklyn, New York. We sent him a subpoena on March 18th to compel the production of responsive documents. Now, the subpoena is attached as Exhibit A. Now, an affidavit of service is also attached, so we know he got it. Email correspondence also confirms this, and the subpoena was returnable, but he has not responded to this, and he's not filed a motion to quash. So they're just ignoring subpoenas, knowing the court's not going to do crap about it. Now, here's the subpoena. They say the subpoena is a valid demand for documents. Okay, we submitted it. The district attorney of New York did something. Redacted, 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 redacted. They say Bragg's office has disclosed redacted, but the completeness and the integrity of that collection is dubious at best because Bragg relied on voluntary compliance from someone. So we don't know what that even means. They got a bunch of materials. They gave us the materials and they say, here's everything we got. But what's in those materials and where'd they come from? Voluntary compliance from whom? Maybe it's Stormy. Maybe it's from Cohen. We don't know. Now, for example, Bragg already found that redacted, 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 and redacted, redacted. Now, the reliability of the phone evidence, or as we see it, the lack thereof, it's probably Cohen or Stormy. Okay, we got all this from Cohen, but they deleted it, or they just gave us voluntarily whatever they said was on it, right? Now, the reliability will be an important dispute at trial as Bragg seeks to persuade jurors to accept the testimony of a perjurer, Michael Cohen, with false statements and fraud convictions. Yeah, he has both of those. And he's the star witness in the case. It's like a joke of a prosecution, but okay. Now, President Trump agrees with Bragg that blank, 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 blank. Wonder what that is. Consistent with the foregoing redacted, Exhibit C reflects the flippant and dismissive approach that Rosenberg took in response to the subpoena. He didn't care. Despite ample evidence with the experience with the criminal justice system that should have instilled with him a respect for this process, he didn't care. As a result, this subpoena is necessary to ensure that Trump has access to all these communications. And we need to confirm whether evidence was spoiled. Now, this evidence is admissible to challenge the integrity of evidence that Bragg is going to seek to offer. They're going to introduce evidence from Cohen's phones. We need this to show the opposite. We're also going to use this in cross-examination of Cohen's phones about his bias and his hostility to Trump that's reflected in his blank. What is that? And to attack the lack of integrity of Bragg's investigation under federal constitution cases such as so-and-so. Reflected in his what? What is it, like his personal journal? Something? President Trump is entitled to this specific evidence of motive, hostility, and bias. And so the subpoena should be enforced, sincerely signed by your friend Todd Blanche. So that is interesting, right? This guy got a valid subpoena. You see, this is what it looks like from Todd Blanche. Affirmation of service. Guy got served. There's the subpoena with the various requests. And apparently this dude is not communicating at all. So they send him a subpoena. He says, I don't have any files for you. From Jeremy to Todd. Hey, Todd, here's an indictment subpoena. Please give us your documents. Wow, this guy's kind of rude. He's an investigator. I don't have any files for you. Sincerely, Jeremy. P.S. The phone number you provided is disconnected. P.P.S. I'm keeping the $15. Whatever that means. So he says, okay, Mr. Rosenberg, thanks for the email. I'm confirming that you do not have counsel representing you in response to the subpoena. Sorry, the number didn't work. Here's my cell phone. You can use it to the extent we need to communicate going forward. Here's the number. Do you have counsel representing you? He says, no, I believe Alvin Bragg is representing the people of New York. He's their investigator. Okay, thanks, man. So thanks for your help. So just totally ignoring a subpoena, right? They don't care. It's New York. They know the judge isn't going to enforce anything or hold him accountable. Trump has no process rights, basically, at all. And speaking of process rights, so this guy, Mark Pomerantz, has some questionable behavior that is now being called out by Trump's defense as well. Remember, Mark Pomerantz was one of the two people who was originally prosecuting Trump. Alvin Bragg was not elected yet. Cyrus Vance brought in these guys as consultants, and then Cyrus Vance left, didn't run for re-election. Alvin Bragg came in, took over the DA's office, and he said they were not going to prosecute this case. And Mark Pomerantz threw a crybaby hissy fit, and he resigned. He wrote this resignation letter blasting Bragg. And then what happened after that? Matthew Colangelo came over from, I believe, the Biden DOJ, and then helped them. Or maybe he came from Tish's office. Either way, he's worked for both of them. So he's been helping to prosecute Trump. Colangelo comes in, Bragg brings the case back to life. But Pomerantz had already resigned, so he'd been working on this case for quite some time. And he's getting some questions as well. This is an affirmation of Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, saying we need to subpoena Mark Pomerantz. He's trying to quash this subpoena. He says, here's the deal. I represent Trump. We sent a subpoena to Mark. Now, here's what happened. Attached is a true copy of some email communications that we sent back and forth concerning Pomerantz and blank, whatever that is, attached to the people's email. Now, here's a true and accurate copy of this stuff. Now, the email is about the production of redacted. And here's a true and accurate copy of whatever that was produced. And we request you deny the subpoena to Pomerantz. Now, look at all of these redactions. it says there's 52 pages. Says here, we reiterate that we've complied with everything that you need. This is from Rebecca Mangold, Assistant DA. Her name is Becky. That's nice. We remain available to discuss anything if you need. We've reviewed the redactions, and here is what this looks like. So Exhibit 2 here is curious. They tell us this is a letter now from the DA's office, Becky, and we're going to continue to fast forward to Exhibit 3. So let's get caught up now. The date is now March 13th, right? These are all filings that are just starting to get dropped. And remember, trial's right around the corner. So the original trial date at the time this letter was sent was March 25th. So we were just a short time away. So Todd Blanche sends this in to Alvin Bragg's office. This is regarding Mark Pomerantz. So he says, okay, dear Miss Mangold, now we write in response to the late produced discovery that was provided to Trump tonight at 8:04 p.m. This is how this case is working. March 13th, we've got just about 2 weeks before trial. 8:04 p.m., they dumped, similar to the more than 100,000 of pages of whatever this is that you've produced over the last 2 weeks. It's extremely difficult for us to understand how this information could be produced by FOIA and yet not be produced to Bragg's office in a timely fashion at the very beginning of this case. So over the last 2 weeks, like within a month of trial, they get 100,000 new pages of discovery, and they just dropped another one at 8:04 on March 13th. Moreover, says Todd, sending us discoverable whatever this is strongly suggests that Bragg's office still has not collected in a systematic fashion all of Mr. Pomerantz's communications about the benefits and the efforts to obtain benefits for Michael Cohen. Which, can you understand what's happening here? Of course you can, because it's clear as day. It's corruption! Mr. Pomerantz, a former prosecutor, is trying to get benefits for Mr. Cohen, and then those records are missing. Strongly suggest that you don't have all of his communications that a prosecutor had with Cohen, nor has Bragg produced any similar communications about Clifford or other Bragg witnesses that also may have been provided benefits. Now, the defense says we are in no position to be able to tell whether the issue is one of more than one, Bragg not carefully searching the phone that Pomerantz was using to send text messages. So did you just not check the phone? Or that could be a problem. Maybe that's why we don't have this, because you just didn't look hard enough on the phone. That's one. Or maybe Mark was using improperly a private cell phone to conduct official business. Could that have been an issue? Maybe that's why you don't have all the records. Or maybe it's because Pomerantz was deleting messages that have been recovered more recently from other sources. However you splice it, not good. So any and all of these options are troubling following last month's untimely production of this material, whatever that is, and given where we are in this case. So information regarding any and all of these options is also discoverable as we try to impeach Cohen under case law as to the integrity of this investigation. And we require complete disclosures promptly about all of these issues and what you've done to address them. And furthermore, Trump's defense says to the government, these blank, 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 and blank, 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 blank. Either Pomerantz drafted that letter on Bragg's systems, in which case you have the drafts and you must produce them, or he drafted the letter on an outside system, in which case you must disclose that breach and you must seek to collect the documents directly from him. So where did he get these materials? No privilege can be claimed over the draft letter, some draft letter apparently, as it is obvious from the produced blank that the letter was read or discussed with Cohen's counsel. Maybe it's a read receipt or something, or billing entry or something. Now, it's equally clear that there were communications with Bragg regarding whether and to what extent to provide the benefit that Cohen was seeking and that Pomerantz apparently promised Cohen. And I don't even know what that is. What is this benefit? Promised to Cohen, Miss Perry, and Mr. Davis. You have not produced all those internal communications either. And as we explained in our discovery motion, you have relied, at least in part, on unacceptable and indefensible invocations of the work product privilege to withhold constitutionally mandated discovery. As with the text message issue here, your failure to do so up until this point is troubling. We require complete disclosure, and we require it promptly regarding drafts of the letter and communications regarding its content. And so, Exhibit 5, more redactions. Okay, so very shady stuff happening here. If this case is so clear, why isn't the court docket being publicized? It's not at all. There have been motions from Trump's defense to try to unseal it all so we can see it. The judge said, well, you have enough, just come in and watch it in court. This is Weissmann, who is gaslighting his entire audience, okay? Bragg's case is one of the most locked down that we've seen of all time. You can't even access the criminal docket on their court public site, right? right? We're getting these documents from Todd Blanche and from other people who are actually litigating this case and pulling the filings. So here is Weissmann on MSNBC saying Trump is the person who wants to hide all of this.
The Supreme Court said there is when you've got a case of such notoriety that everywhere you go in the United States, people are going to hear about it, the idea that you need to transfer the case makes no sense. Again, the remedy is having a very careful jury selection process. So neither of these motions, it has merit to it. I'd be very surprised if this put the trial off. It does, to your point, Nicole, though, really signal how much Donald Trump does not want the public to see the facts at a trial. Remember, he has already been given all of the evidence, all of the witness statements of what they're going to say.
No, he has not. Okay, we just read the motion. We just read the filings. They're not giving them anything, and they are not even responding to subpoenas. Okay, Stormy has a valid subpoena. Rosenberg has a valid subpoena. Pomerantz trying to quash it. At least he's responding to it. The others are just ignoring it, and there's no recourse at all. So why is Todd Blanche, okay, at blanchelaw.com, Andrew, why is he publishing all of the filings? Why isn't the court doing that? Because Trump's team, Trump's lawyers want everybody to see this. In fact, like to turn the camera on, if you could. Trump is gagged. Dude, are you nuts? He can't even speak about this case. He's ready to talk about this case 24/7, but he can't even talk about it now. So who's trying to gag who? Okay, why do we have to redact all of those pages in those filings? You know why? To protect Michael Cohen, to protect the convicted perjurer and a porn star, Stormy Daniels, from their cavorting, whatever was going on there with their communications and their podcasts. Ugh. So enough of him, but you get the point. They're going to continue to sell it to their audience that Trump is trying to delay. They drop hundreds of thousands of pages on the defense. It is not possible to defend a case when you're in an environment that is so rigged this way. Hey, you know, show up for a test and now you also have to read 100,000 pages the night before because you're about to be quizzed on it. It's not possible to do that for this defense. Now, my friends, we're going to be here continuing to cover this. I hope you join us as we do all the Trump litigation, the Trump trials. It's going to be a busy year for us, and we hope you join us as we unpack all of this. Thank you for subscribing, for liking this video, for sharing our channel with a friend or family member. Thanks for also coming over and looking at our members-only community, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We do great streams in the morning where we dive into some other topics that we can't always get to here. We have a great community of amazing people there. We do streams on Saturday. We do after parties. It's a great way to support the show, get some extra content, meet some amazing people, and have some fun. We'd love to have you join us. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Links down in the description. And of course, we'll see you over there and back here on the next one.